Today, I decided to start the process of backing up my phone, making sure all my data is stored because I'm going to do a clean install on my phone. I
You're
got
gonna be resetting your phone?
Yeah, no, look, here's what happened. Give you the backstory. I've been running the same OS since the same backup since the iPhone 3GS back when I was in high school. So this backup went to multiple resets and backups of the iPhone 3GS and like multiple OSs. I think I had iOS 4 back then on it. Then it went on
Wow, you're
yeah, no,
really
exactly.
going back.
Yeah, it went on an iPad Mini. It went iPad Mini 2, that is, and then it went on an iPhone 4S, on an iPhone 6S and 6 Plus. So that's a lot of phones, and like
That's a lot of phones and
that's,
tablets,
that's pretty much 9 months.
devices in general.
So I'm starting to feel like sometimes there's like weird bugs that like I should never get, but I do, and like I don't, they're not too annoying, but they just happen, and I know those are OS related. The problem is I'm too lazy, man. I don't wanna like do a format for like no reason. So
What's
I've
an example of one of the bugs that you're experiencing?
yeah, no. So every time you know when you open your phone and
Yeah.
then you go on so let's say you have the widget menu. When you swipe your finger to the right to go on the left menu.
Yes, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have this like schedule thing for the bus that shows me when the nearest bus is and when it's coming. Uh,
Transit.
yeah, Transit. Shout out to Transit, amazing team. Good work from them.
They're from Montreal.
Yeah,
Yes.
represent,
Supporting.
representing and
Yeah.
defending Montreal bagels. Yeah, bro. Anyways, and so like every once in a while, if I do this, it will like just it will kick me out of that page and bring me to the last page of apps I have. So let's say if I have four pages on my home screen of apps, it will kick me to the last one for some reason, and it'll keep doing that. So I've got like all these bugs for no like they've been adding up. Nothing too severe. Like they don't bother me, but they've been adding up for years. I think
Yeah,
it's
they're like little things.
yeah. Like they're not annoying, but I know they're like there. The problem is I was too lazy to just like reset my phone. So I think it's time. I'm moving. I have some information that I could only get back if I do a full iCloud backup and reset. So I'm moving all this information from my phone that needs to be completely so I could put it back on it after I do a clean install. And so that's
So what you want to do is you want to delete all the
Yeah.
backup history that you have.
Yeah, backup history. So like I have this app where you could put content in it and information, and the only way if to get it back if you format your phone is by restoring from a backup. Uh, and So what I did is I moved all this information to iCloud because they have the iCloud integration now. So if I move all this information from this app to the iCloud drive, when I format my phone, I could get them back and put it back in the app. That's the only way to do it. It doesn't sync with iCloud. Okay,
Okay, I
so
see.
so
I see.
there's three layers. There's iCloud Drive,
Yeah.
there's iCloud Backup, and there's iCloud. iCloud, the regular one is like where it syncs your pictures, it syncs the game stats that you have. So every time you open an app, it requires internet for it to update the information within an app, and it will put all your information throughout all your devices. Then there's iCloud Backup, where it's basically when you're getting a new phone or restoring your phone, it will take that restored backup that happens every night. Let's say if you have your phone set up to back up every night, it will take that information and put it on the new phone or the new install. And the last one is just like Cloud Drive. It's like a drive. You put anything there. You could put it and take it out whenever you want. So I want to avoid the middle one, the iCloud backup.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have a lot of old backups.
Yeah, man. How about you? What's up? What's been going on lately?
Honestly, I found everything works well. I mean, this is my first phone, so the 6S
There you go.
hadn't really had too many problems. The iPad, everything, I don't find anything's bugging or not working properly. So for now, I'm good. I don't have as many backups as you. I'm not from the iOS 4. The only iOS system that my phone has seen is iOS 11 and 12.
Yeah. You got
Yeah,
the good versions of 11, so you got around all of the bugs that they had, at first.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because I got my phone in June. It's coming up to a year.
it's not
So
that bad, starting with the 6S. Not bad, not bad.
no, it's not that bad. It's a solid phone. Honestly, I don't find it's slow or anything. The only reason why I would be considering an upgrade is for screen size,
Yeah,
because 4.7 inches is a little small, and camera also.
yeah, it's true.
But for speed wise, I find that it's solid.
Yeah, you know what I think? I think like when you go in an Apple store, they should have like this measuring thing. You know what? So let me give some context. Explain myself because I'm gonna sound weird right there. You know when you go to a sports store or like a shoe store, they have like this feet measuring devices, and it tells you what shoe size you are.
Yeah,
So it
yeah, I
measures
know what you're talking about.
width and height and the length, and so they should have like the same thing but for your hand. And you go like in the Apple store, you put your hand on it, and it tells you like what size of phone you need, and then that would fit comfortably in your hand. So like let's say, you have like average size hands, you put it on the machine, and it tells you okay, recommended for you. Like even an iPad, imagine that would be so cool. It uses like
That would be really
yeah,
cool.
it senses the outline of your hand. It's like okay, so for your hand size, we recommend the iPhone 8, the iPhone XR, and the iPhone XS. And then if your hand's a bit bigger, then they recommend the 8 Plus and like the XS Max and the XR. And if your hands are really small, they recommend the SE if they still have it, or they carry it, and the 8 and the 7, and yeah, that's pretty much. Or the XR if you're really courageous.
If you're courageous,
I see like
even though
these.
you have those small little fingers.
Yeah, no.
So,
in,
sorry, all people with small little fingers. We love you too.
yeah, we love you too. We don't discriminate against small people. It cracks me up, bro. It cracks me up. In the bus, you see all these like really tiny people. No offense, so. Like we Daniel and I are giants compared to the average. So like to us, like everyone shorter than us is a tiny person, and so we see all these tiny
Yes.
persons with like these huge gigantic phones, and like
Yeah, it just looks weird.
it's disproportional,
It
bro.
looks weird. Yeah, when you see like a small little person, they pull out like this 10s Max, like an 8-inch display. That's an exaggeration. Like an 8-inch display, and it's just like your phone is bigger than like I don't know your head.
Yeah, no, might as well use the iPad Pro 12.9 inch,
Might as well just carry around a Mac and use it as your
Yeah.
phone.
Presenting to you the Mac Pro phone. It is the first folding phone that does not break.
Yes, you could put your SIM in it. It has a screen size. Wait, you gotta do the Johnny I voice.
Dude, I want
That's interesting.
a SIM card on the Mac. That would be so
That'd be really cool.
like I don't know why that's like my only big complaint of the Mac, that's 15-inch, the one I have, the 2015. I wish I could like put like a SIM card in it and like
Or LTE.
yeah, or like a eSIM like the one they have in the new phones. They have like
Yeah.
the regular SIM card and then they have the eSIM. So if they set up an eSIM, I could share data with my phone. Imagine that. That would be so cool.
Imagine you could just take your Mac. Like if you know you have AirPods, you just take your Mac with you. You don't need to bring your phone.
No,
That would be really cool.
yeah. Or like the Apple Watch plans.
Yeah, exactly.
They share the same.
Yeah.
They share the same plan for both.
You pay like an extra $10 a month or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you get connectivity on your Mac.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool, man. That would be cool. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Apple, Tim Cook,
Tim
I hope you're
Apple.
listening.
Tim Apple.
Tim
Tim
Apple.
Apple.
Tim Apple.
Good morning,
Tim Apple.
everybody. Dude,
Good morning,
WWDC. It's like in what, 2 weeks?
bro.
2 weeks.
Yeah, what beginning of June?
Okay.
It's like first week of June. No,
So
isn't it June 3rd?
today we're Thursday. It's literally in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. I think it's
Yes,
June.
it's in less than a week.
I think it's
In
June
2 weeks,
3rd.
sorry, less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's either June 3rd
The-
or June 4th. So it's in
Yeah,
like
I think it's
11
June
days.
3rd. I think it starts June 3rd.
yeah. Okay, so that's 10
Yes.
days.
The new Mac Pro that we have all been waiting for since 2013.
With unlimited power, such unlimited power. Sorry,
It's okay. We like the enthusiasm.
like just
So,
dude, this moment, it's gonna be such a great moment.
we have to do the Johnny I voice when we describe the Mac
Dude, I
Pro.
can't do British voices. You know that.
you know. The
I
new...
can do Texan
Oh
voice.
man, last time I had the accent, now I lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't do it.
Last
Maybe
night.
I don't know. No, last podcast, last episode.
Yeah. No.
I was doing a
feel
Johnny
like.
Ive.
Yeah, I feel if I could go to Britain for like a month or like a week, I could pick it up because I'm like I'm a linguistic chameleon, especially in French. I could sound like anyone I want. Like I could sound like a stereotypical like Italian person, Lebanese person, immigrant, depending who I talk to. So I feel
if you
like
hear it,
yeah. So like with you,
you will pick it up.
with you I speak like an immigrant, and with others I speak like depending who I speak to. Anyways, all right, man. And so you wanna start the topics?
Sure, let's get into it.
All right, let's do the intro. Welcome to the ANA podcast. I'm Michael, joined here with my co-host Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Michael, how are you doing today?
Good, man. I'm so happy it's finally that time of the week where we could record and discuss all the things we have been meaning to talk about all week.
Yes, it's the best part of the week when we sit down to record this episode. It is so fun.
It saddens me because we don't get the chance to talk about this anymore because we have to save it for the podcast.
It's true. That's a very good point. That's a very good
Yeah,
point.
I know. We used to like just sit together and talk about that stuff, but now we're just saving all our topics so we don't exhaust it. Yeah.
We do it for you, people. We do it for you.
Yeah, no, we do actually.
So, but we're very thankful for your support. We're very thankful for your support. We have had overwhelming support. I have no idea what RSS subscribers are.
It's fine. Look, we
have like 300 of them.
That's crazy. I feel like we're boring people though with those numbers. From now on, we will start giving you monthly updates.
Yes, we'll give you monthly updates instead of just telling you every episode how many subscribers we have. But we're thankful for your support.
Yep, we are. We are indeed. Speaking about updates, Apple updated their MacBook Pro. You like that segue?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was slick. That was slick. That one was good.
Brought to you by Braintree. Thank you to our sponsors, ShareSkill. Oh man, it's just Renee Ritchie, man. Anyways, so yeah, new MacBook Pros.
What do you think of it?
It's nothing new, spec bump. Now we have 6 and 8 cores options, and besides that, they have the new redesigned. Well, it's not new; it's just redesigned keyboard to improve it even more. And now every other MacBook that has an issue will be able to use this new keyboard as a replacement. So let's say you bought a MacBook Pro in 2016 and you have an issue, they'll, instead of putting you the 2016 keyboard in your computer, they'll put you the new one that they just made.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah. So just so they don't have to fix, and it's free of charge for repairs, by the way. Like they extended the repair program.
They extended it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have Apple Care and it's done, they'll still replace it. So that's where all your service money is going, to the replacement of the keyboards. That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Like it's not ideal situation. Like in the best of worlds, I would have like the Magic Keyboard, like this awesome clickiness. Like I want to make people hear this. This is keyboard ASMR, whatever you call it. What is it? ASMR?
Yeah, ASMR. That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Well, I put the microphone closer so people can hear it. But yeah, so this is microphone ASMR, brought to you by ENA podcast. So I wish
we're gonna turn into we say we're technology. We're turning into ASMR.
Technology mukbang. Anyways, dude, we just invented a new genre. Like here, let's do another sound that's very satisfying. Listen to this. I don't know if you heard that, Daniel, but that's the satisfying sound of the MacBook lid shutting. It's so precise. Look the sound. So, yeah. So let's get into it. The
MacBook Pro.
The MacBook Pro, so with new specs.
So they must be really confident in these new keyboards if they're doing this repair program to even repair MacBooks from 2015, late 2015. They must be really confident these new butterfly keyboards that they're gonna work well.
Yeah, no, they do. Well, that's what I am hoping for. It's either they're really confident in the new design of the keyboard with the new materials. Like apparently they're using new plastics and new alloys of metal and pins and stuff like that. That allows it to not like break and simulate double clicks, so you don't get like five times the letter E when you press it twice. You know.
Yeah,
And
that's
or they're
possible.
just protecting themselves against lawsuits and court cases. So I
It
hope
could be that too.
I hope it's the first to uh the first thing I said. But if it's to protect themselves against lawsuits, it's still a good thing because you know lawsuits are lawsuits and people in the U.S. sue for nothing. So whatever.
Yeah,
If you're gonna
and
sue for your bad keyboard and you know that Apple has been having issues with those keyboard for years, you're just not in the loop.
no, no, you're
You know.
not.
Yeah,
And
but
also,
you go ahead.
I guess people with broken keyboards get to get new keyboards
Yeah.
for free, so it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, you don't get the last year's keyboard, you get the newer one, so that's good. People
Yeah,
are so
that's good.
anyone who has like an issue with that keyboard will have like basically the improved version. Still no inverted T for the arrows. So if you look at the arrows on your keyboard, it usually looks like a inverted T, upside down T. And on some keyboard, it does not look like that. It looks like just it fills the part where it inverted T. Now, people that use the arrows a lot, they don't like having it completely filled up. They like
Oh, really?
yeah. So if someone was wondering what inverted T looks like, just like search inverted T keyboard and you'll see what it looks like. And then the regular ones, it's like just it's all filling up the. I'll put a picture in the show notes, and I'm hoping that they fix the keyboard. Because both of you and I like the feel of the keyboard. Maybe it's shallow, it's a bit too shallow, but like
I like it.
we don't mind it. We don't mind it. Just like the only issue with it is it breaks. So
Yeah, that's
if
the
they
only problem.
fix, yeah, no, exactly. If they fix the issue,
Yeah, honestly, the keyboard is fine. It's just
just
you would want
breaking.
a reliable keyboard on a computer.
No, exactly. So if they just make it a bit more reliable, I'll be super happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, I think that the keyboards before they switch to the butterfly, the scissor, those are the best.
The scissor switch on the MacBook is less satisfying than the Magic Keyboard. Magic Keyboard, the one I just made you guys hear. I don't know if you heard it, Daniel.
I
Um,
did. I'd heard it.
is really
Yeah.
satisfying. The one on the MacBook, I don't know if it's because it's thinner, or it's just used more because I typed maybe like I think I typed like over 100,000 words on that keyboard for like school and stuff.
Words, not letters, words.
Yeah, words. My like cumulatively, like I've been using that laptop since 2015. It's like I bought it when it was new. And my brother
Yeah, so that's 4 years of use.
and my brother too. He uses it for his essays. So say 200,000 words, and so that's a lot of typing. So I don't know if with time it feels mushier, but I really like it too. It's quieter than the Magic Keyboard though. And so if they put if they could find a way to get like the clickiness of the Magic Keyboard and the 2015 MacBook Pro inside and with its legendary reliability, I'll be fine. I'm fine. I
Yeah,
can't
if
complain.
they could get the Magic Keyboard, that would be the ideal keyboard. But the thing is because Apple's all about thin and lightness, the Magic Keyboard isn't too thin. So I think if this keyboard works and is reliable, I think they're just gonna stick with this butterfly.
Yeah, no, it's true. Um, we also could talk about the new processors.
Yes,
Some people are worried that the new processors with the i9 and i7, 6 core and 9 and 8 core,
8
you know,
cores in a laptop.
and yeah, no, dude, that's crazy. And
That's amazing.
you know, Linus Tech Tips video, he was criticizing the last edition of the i9, which was a 6 core, not an 8 core. and
Yeah, I know what you're
because
talking
because it
about.
was overheating and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
so like he was like being all like let's say indignated, if we could say in some term, that the MacBook Pro is not performing well. But if we listen to another video he posted, he says that the MacBook Pro outperforms every other um, laptop that has an i9 processor in terms of speed and heat. Yet in one of his videos, he doesn't mention that he's just bashing on Apple for some reason.
Yeah, but it's known that Linus doesn't like Apple.
No,
He says
super
Android
biased.
is better than iOS. Are you kidding me? It's just it's better to buy a 5-year-old Android phone than to use a 5-year-old iPhone, which is the iPhone 6. He was comparing an LG G3 to an iPhone 6, and he was saying that the G3 is almost like, he didn't say it was better, but he said it's like comparable. But it doesn't even get software updates anymore. The iPhone 6 up till now, up to iOS 12.
It's comparable, yeah.
Yeah. He got like a Nova launcher or something like that. I'm not sure exactly which launcher he used.
He had to hack software updates into it. That's the thing. And if you buy like a secondhand iPhone, which is completely fine because iPhones are pretty well built, so I'm not worried about it. Whereas like Android phones, usually if you buy secondhand, you're like you're cutting it close.
Yeah, for sure.
I would be worried.
I would too.
Yeah, but to go back to Linus Tech Tips video on the MacBook Pro, he forgot he mentioned something, and I think he forgot to mention it when he was comparing the Mac to the other Windows i9 processors. You know that the Windows computers with the i9, to get the full performance of the computer, you need to get it plugged in. If you don't plug it in, you don't get the full power.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
You know that if you're using an i9 processor and in your Windows laptop, you only get like about 2 hours of battery life.
2 hours, that's it.
2 hours. On the Mac, what do you get?
I don't know.
9.
Wow.
9.
Wow.
9.
Wow.
9.
Wow. That's
Yeah. So Rene Ritchie made this video. He was talking about the Razer, which comes with an i9 processor, I think, or some really hyped TDP processor, and he was so disappointed with the conclusion of the video. He was like so hyped during all the video, and then when it came to the conclusion, when he found out that the battery life is only 2 hours and a half, he was like, "What's the point? What's the point?"
for real. Like, you only have 2.5 hours of like work time. That's
Yeah.
It's basically a easy to carry around desktop at that point.
Which you always have to keep plugged in. So basically,
Exactly. So that's what it is. It's an easy to carry around desktop with a built-in screen and keyboard.
Yeah.
Basically.
Here, let me paint a picture and like show you the extent of like Linus's imbecility, whatever if that's a word. I'm gonna start creating a dictionary for all the words I mispronounce
Yes.
in this podcast.
We should start a dictionary.
The A&A Dictionary, brought to you by Michael. Publishing company, the Again and Again podcast. Anyways.
Introductory.
Or we just make merch with all the misspelled words.
Yes.
Introducted. I did one last week. I forgot what it was. Anyways. It's just the thought of it with like misspelled words on t-shirts.
Yeah. Introductory.
Yeah. People, let us know if you would buy t-shirts with misspelled words on them.
If you will, we'll make a line of merch next week.
Yeah. No, not that early, man. You need quantities for that. You need quantities. Yeah, so basically what's going on, to tie back to what we're saying, you've got the MacBook Pro, which has a very aggressive heat and power management in the laptop. And then you've got the Windows laptops, which are thicker, substantially thicker. And they do not overheat as much as the MacBook Pro, in the sense that in regular use, just plain usage, they'll be about the same temperature as the MacBook Pro, maybe plus or minus 2 degrees.
Okay, yeah, that's very close.
Yeah, But the thing is, that's in regular use. When it comes to like heavy loads, like say you're rendering a video or exporting a video or bouncing an audio track, like intensive stuff, opening Photoshop and exporting or importing content in your library, heavy content. Like it's not everyone that uses that, but let's say.
Well, usually people who would be buying a pro computer or be buying an i9 would be using, would have use cases and where they would be using the processor to its full capacity. That's why you're buying an i9 in the first place.
That's right. So these people, so he did the comparison, and the comparison turned out to be that the MacBook Pro outperforms everything, but they're cheating. The way that Apple's cheating is when you're not doing much on the laptop, the computer will reduce its clock speed. The clock speed is basically how much calculation it does in a second,
right? Yeah, in a second.
It's calculated in gigahertz. So when you're not doing much, it will down throttle to the base clock, which is the minimum clock speed of 2.7 to 2.9, depending on what model you have.
That's the base speed.
And base clock, yeah. It will down throttle to lower than that. Why? To save battery, because you're actually not doing anything.
Well, yeah, if you're surfing the web, you don't need to have 5 gigahertz of
No, hold on. Actually, the web uses way more than you think.
Really?
No, let's say you just have your screen open and nothing's happening. Like there's the pages are just sitting there. Or you're reading your page. You're not surfing, you're not doing anything, you're not opening, you're not closing. You're just the page is just sitting there.
Yeah.
Your computer will not use anything. As soon as let's say you press on an icon or like on a link or on an application to open or on a picture to open it or on a file or you start typing, the computer has to start up again. And so most computers will turn up like the power to the computer as a bell curve. You know what a bell curve is?
Yeah.
It starts up gradually and over time it picks up faster and faster and faster until it reaches peak speed. Yeah, exponential. And then when it's done, it slows down again. So now it's logarithmic. All right?
Yeah.
So it's a bell curve. It's a bell curve, basically. The Mac doesn't do that. It uses something called Turbo Boost, where as soon as you press a link, for a short while, it will send you all the power it can without overheating the processor for it not to melt. Right?
Yes.
What that gives you is very snappy response for like small things. And that's where like the usual snappiness of the Mac and like the overall like smoothness and butteriness of the whole feel of the interaction with the computer comes from, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And while doing that, they don't boost up the fans because the computer knows that we're just gonna like boost the processor
for a short while,
for like 5 seconds,
yeah, exactly.
5 seconds, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
Whereas the other computers, what they'll do, power will ramp up, and then it will slowly, gradually go down. And what that means is, let's say you stopped using the power of your computer, and like you're just reading your own page, you're not doing anything. The power is still going up.
Oh, it doesn't stop going up. It continues going up.
Because it's the way that the computer thinks about how you're using your computer.
Wow.
You know?
Okay, I see.
So the processor is making decisions. Okay, let's say because the way that they program the curves about the power delivery, and so Linus, what he does, he's comparing the Mac to the Windows computers, and saying it's disadvantage because it's reaching higher temperatures. And it's cheating by using this unlimited power at first, and then it slows down gradually, instead of ramping up slowly and slowing down. And he says it's cheating and it's overheating the processor because because Mac has a very aggressive anti-fan stance.
Yes.
So if I look at my fan right now, it's very quiet.
Because
on the computer,
it's not running strong.
It's not running almost at all, and sometimes on some computers it doesn't run at all. But let's say I want to boost it to the max. So let's say I boost the fan to the max. Let's see what it sounds like. hear
I
that?
do. I hear it. That's loud.
So say I'm working in a studio or whatever in a library,
And you
and my
hear that.
computer's running. Yeah, it's like a helicopter, you know. It's
Yeah.
like,
A helicopter coming down for landing.
I hear people in class with like HP computers, like out of the blue, like they're just writing on Word.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Why?
It's so funny.
And it does it for like 5 seconds, then it stops. Like, why? Just wait 5 seconds and don't turn on the fans for the maximum. There's no point in that. So it's just the way that they manage power. And so Linus Tech Tips, Linus Tech Tips, he's the way he concluded that the processors weren't performing as they should is by using these benchmarks. And these benchmarks, they stress the processor for like an extended period of time. And he was complaining about how the Mac reduced the clock speed after a while. So, it thermal throttled. So it reduced the power delivery to the processor to decrease heat.
Instead of turning on the fans.
Exactly. That's the right behavior. You know why? Because you could ramp up the fans, but the heat is still going to go up.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because you're still having the same amount of power passing through.
No, actually more, because the more heat, the less conductivity, the more loss in efficiency. And so, if we just like consider that the computer always wants to reach a state of higher performance, so what it does is it ramps up the fan to lower the speed, but now because the computer is cooler, so it's going to ramp up the speed even more because it's at a lower temperature, and then it sees that it's overheating again, so it just puts the fan to the maximum and lowers the temperature again, so it raises up again the speed. And so it's always the computer fighting with the fans and the yeah, exactly, a teeter totter, but between your computer processor and the power delivery. If you want like a battery life that lasts more than 2 hours, this is not what you want. I prefer something that down throttles and
lasts longer. Battery life lasts longer. Exactly.
Lasts longer.
Yeah.
If you're expecting to have like this ultimate power machine that does like rendering and everything 24/7, dude, you bought the wrong machine.
Yeah.
You should buy a desktop.
Yeah, exactly.
Laptop it's a portable thing.
Yes.
It's a computer for out of home.
Yeah, if you're using it as your main workstation at home, you should not be using a laptop. You should be using a desktop. Exactly. It's like you said.
At least for super powerful applications like rendering and everything.
Yeah, like.
But if you're just like using it for browsing, like I do, like I need a computer that's portable and I can use it at home and powerful enough to do everything I do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I need. That's what I use.
It's a perfect use case for you, but like, you're not gonna. If you're rendering like 8K video at 60 FPS or whatever, 30 FPS, you're not gonna be using a MacBook Pro to do that. And like unless you're editing on the go, in that case you should be using like a desktop.
Yeah, it's true. And so, the conclusion of Linus Tech Tip is wrong. All the haters saying that it's running too hot is wrong. They missed the point completely. It's a portable device. It's supposed to be powerful for short bursts. It's not meant to render Hollywood movies on it like Linus does. Running stress tests on the computer for like 2 hours. Like no one does that on a laptop.
No one does that on a laptop.
Like if you do, you probably have it plugged in and you like it's like a worst case scenario. Like I don't have my iMac or my Mac Pro, so let me do it on my laptop.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what else is a very good portable device, very good portable workstation? The iPad. The iPad Pro. So, me and you have had iPads for over 6 months. 6 months now. You got yours in August 2018. It's a 10.5 inch iPad Pro, and I got mine in I think it was November or early December, late November, early December, and mine is 11 inch. Yeah.
After it was released.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah, after the release, like maybe a month after the release, and honestly, I found that the iPad has been perfect. When I was buying the iPad, I use it for school. At least for now, it works. I'm in computer engineering, but for now, I'm doing the prerequisites. So they're just like math courses and physics courses. I'm not doing any programming yet or any intense engineering courses yet. For now, I'm just doing some prerequisites, and for that, I find that the iPad is amazing. It's the best thing ever if you're doing math courses, because usually in when you're doing a math course, you can't type out what the teacher's writing out on the board. Like if you're doing like a linguistics class or something, you can actually write out what the teacher's writing on the board because they're writing out words. In math courses, they're not writing out words, they're writing out formulas. And the thing is that on a normal keyboard, you can't do like divisions, like that it looks like
It's
actually
harder.
stacked. It's harder, it doesn't look as clean. It's You have to write it out. So basically, everybody in my class, nobody types out the notes that the teacher writes on the board. Everybody has a notebook and a paper. And
Those cavemen, the cavemen.
and because of the iPad, I do not have to bring a paper. I use Good Notes. Shout out to them. Amazing app, note-taking app for the Apple Pencil. And I find it's amazing because I have all my notes organized. Like I don't have a notebook. I don't have paper that has the risk of getting wet, ripped, that I could lose my notebook. I have everything saved on Good Notes, and it's saved to the cloud. So worst case, if I do end up ever losing my iPad, I have my notes saved to the cloud. Everything, I'm not when I'm looking through notes, I'm not shuffling through papers. I'm not going through dividers. Everything is in a folder on the app, and it's just so clean. The writing experience with the Apple Pencil is amazing, and I just find
You don't have to worry about printing too, huh?
No, printing. Yeah, you don't have to worry about printing papers. And if you do need to print, you can print from the iPad. And I honestly do find that the iPad, for my use case, at least for now, is a good Mac, like they say, a good laptop replacement. But
Look,
the
it's
only
the
thing,
post-PC era.
yes,
It's the post-PC era.
exactly. Just the only problem is that once I start computer engineering, I'll have to program, and you can't program off a Mac. You can't program off an iPad. So in that case, you would need a Mac. But honestly, after 6 months, the iPad is still working great. It's still running strong. I'm still getting like 8 hours of battery life a day after 6 months. It still charges fast.
With high brightness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
High brightness,
with high brightness,
multiple apps.
Yes.
Multiple apps, like running the same time with music
Using
and
the
whatever.
Apple Pencil, all that stuff. It works.
128 refresh rates. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And the ProMotion display, when you go from your iPad to your phone, it's dreadful. It's dreadful. You just want to stay on the iPad all the time. The 120 hertz display is it's just eye candy. So those are my thoughts after 6 months. Honestly, I find that the iPad is amazing. It's been holding up well. I find it was worth the money. The only thing that I have to say is that I bring it back and forth to school. I have the 11-inch, so the portability works out for me. Just the only thing is that I don't know if the 12.9-inch would have been a better buy, because you are getting a bigger screen. You're losing a little bit out on portability. But the thing about the iPad is that to go from the 11 to the 12.9, at least in Canadian dollars, you're adding an extra $250. Or to go from 64 gigs to 256 gigs, you add $256. So
And that's without cellular. So if you add cellular,
that's without cellular. Yeah. So I had the choice between either more storage or a bigger screen. I went with the more storage because I didn't want to be running out of storage. Because running out of storage is terrible.
It's expensive device, but like I found it was like it's worth every penny.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Like people like just look at me working on the iPad, and like in the same way you do. Like I have financial formulas to write that I can't write on a keyboard because they're like I have to like go in the special character application. I have to draw pie charts.
Exactly. If you're using Greek letters,
it takes. I could do it on a computer. Like I could do it quickly on Excel, but not as quickly as drawing it with my hand.
Yeah. So then you'd
Greek
have to
letters
have
too. You're
notes,
right.
and you'd have to have papers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's sorted out electronically, and it is amazing. I love it.
You you know what's even better about note taking with the iPad?
It's the writing experience
could-
with the Apple Pencil.
Writing experience with Apple Pencil. That's true. I didn't mention that one, but you're absolutely right. What's even better is you could take pictures with it.
Exactly. You
So
can take
say you
screenshots.
don't you do
Or
screenshots and pictures.
take pictures of exactly. Sorry.
So let's say the teacher's writing on the board. It has a pretty good camera, so you could zoom in pretty good, and it's like pretty stable because like you just tilt it, and it's like still leaning on the table, so you don't vibrate. You could zoom in pretty much till from the back of the class to the board and get a clear picture or clear enough for you to see what it's writing, and then you could just like crop the picture and put it in your notes or whatever if you don't get the chance to write everything she says or he says.
Yeah, there's that too. Or you could just use, if you have a newer iPhone with dual lenses, you can use the telephoto lens and then just iCloud or drop it to your iPad and import it that way also. You don't have to use it. I find the camera on the iPad is a little bit grainy. I don't know why. I just noticed that the camera is very grainy compared to the
not
phone.
like the highest quality. Well, it's not the highest quality, you know. They put usually the cameras of the inferior models of last year. So say you got you got basically the iPhone 8 camera on your iPad.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I mean?
But shouldn't it be
So-
the image processing that really should make us stand out rather than
Well,
like the actual sensor? I know the
both,
sensor
both.
does make a difference and it does count towards the image quality, but isn't it more the processing? Because I mean, from like the iPhone 6 all the way up to like the even iPhone 10s, they're all 12 megapixels.
Yeah, well, Mega-Pickles.
Megapixels. Yes.
Mega-Pickles. Giant pickles.
Giant pickles coming out of the back of your cameras on your phone.
Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick. Anyways, Mega-Pickles. I like how it sounds.
Mega-Pickles.
Mega-Pickles.
That's another word for the t-shirts.
Yeah, Mega-Pickles.
Mega-Pickles.
Megapixel counts not everything.
Yes, for sure.
It's
yeah.
sensor density. There's a lot of factors. Also, the AI behind the camera. So how they process.
Yeah,
process
that's what I was talking about. The image processing.
But here's that's not. But that's not the biggest one. Remember, you have the camera that's running on the iPhone 8 on your iPad. How big is the screen of the iPhone 8?
Yeah, it's 4.7 inches.
How big is your iPad?
11.
And that's only diagonal. That's not in like surface area.
Yeah, that's not in width. That's diagonally.
So if you were to, it's like basically if you're zooming in your picture on your iPhone 8 and like taking pictures that way. If you zoom in with your iPhone 8, you'll start seeing the graininess, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what's happening by default with your iPad.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you're basically stretching the picture to fill the screen.
So if you take a picture and then you put it on your phone screen, it should look better, theoretically.
Yeah, because it's a smaller display. You're basically condensing it. Look, it's like a 5K 65-inch screen and the LG 5K ultra fine display from Apple. Both of them are 5K. The 65-inch is bigger. It's still 5K, but it's only 5K if you stand 10 feet away. If you get closer, you'll start seeing the graininess.
Yeah,
and all
because
the
you're starting
pixels.
to see the individual pixels because you're so close.
They're bigger.
Yeah, the pixels are bigger.
And that's why the 5K is so expensive, because you have all these expensive screens. I don't think there's even a 5K screen, a TV screen. They're all 4K. So let's say all 4K screens in like a Best Buy, or in Costco, whatever you buy your TVs. You know, they're so beautiful from afar. You get closer, you can start to see the graininess. Imagine you take that big screen and you make it smaller. Like literally, you shrink it. You shrink every single pixel, make it smaller, and put it into a 27-inch screen or a 21-inch screen.
It'll look a lot better.
A lot better from up close.
Yeah,
and
from
far.
yeah, both ways it'll look better.
Whereas a TV screen will only look good after they tell you recommended viewing distance 10 feet or like 2 meters away.
Yeah,
Depending
because if
on what
not,
screen
then
you
you
have.
start seeing the individual pixels because of their size.
Yeah. So if you're like just standing in front of it, you won't get the full quality or the full buck from your purchase.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
won't get the optimal quality. And so yeah, um,
And
tell me
also,
about you. I want to ask you about your iPad. Uh, you bought the dongle. Are you
yes,
100% satisfied with it,
I
or do you wish that it could do something else?
no. I find the dongle, at least the one I got, I know there's some other ones. The only thing that I wish this dongle had was a headphone jack. It doesn't have a headphone jack, which would be nice.
Ah,
It's not the end of the world. It's not like a deal breaking
well,
thing because
tell us about it because I don't remember what ports you have. So tell me
so
about it.
I have 6 ports. Yes, seven ports. I have 7 ports on the dongle. What it is, it's a USB-C 2. There's 3 USB-A ports, which is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I use to record the podcast because the microphone I use is USB-A. So I plug it into the
Yep.
dongle and I plug that dongle into my iPad. So it has 3 USB-A ports. It has an SD and micro SD card slot on the back. So if you ever
Yep.
have to import videos, which I used and it worked perfectly fine. I have a GoPro and I recorded some hockey footage, and I imported it onto my iPad using the dongle, plugged in the micro SD straight into the dongle, put the dongle into my iPad. Boom! All the photos were imported, and they were even
Yep.
1080p. They were big files. And it did it seamless. So it has SD, micro SD, and then it has HDMI, which is very useful if you ever want to plug it into either. If you want to plug your iPad, I know it can do USB-C to USB-C, but if you want to plug your iPad into a TV screen, which I have used because I wanted to watch movies from like Netflix or Prime Video, and
Yep.
I just plug in the HDMI, plug it into my TV, and now I could watch whatever I want to watch on my TV. So that's very useful. And then the last port is a USB-C, but it's a DC input, so you can charge your iPad because obviously the dongle is taking up the only charge port of the iPad. So to charge it, there's this port, which is very, very useful because as we record our podcast later in the day, I have school during the day. I use my iPad, so at night my iPad is at a lower percentage. Plus, the microphone takes battery from the iPad, so the battery percentage goes down a bit lower. So if I didn't have this DC input, I wouldn't be able to record because my iPad would be dead. So I find that the dongle,
Yeah.
it's worth it. It was not too cheap. It was like $45-$50. But I find it was worth it. It's a very useful device, and it extends the usability of your iPad even more. Like now you could plug it into a TV, you could insert SD cards, you could use USB-A devices with your iPad. It really extends the usability of your iPad even more than
And you
what
could
already
charge
is.
it while using all these things.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a question for you too. About the dongle. Is the part that plugs into your iPad Thunderbolt or
I don't know.
you
Honestly,
wouldn't
I
know?
don't
Huh?
know.
Because that would be interesting. Like I want to know if they're interchangeable. Let's say you get a Mac and you want to use it with it.
Oh no, this is not a dongle made specifically for the iPad. It's actually a dongle made for the made for the MacBook.
Yeah, but is it Thunderbolt? That's the
I
question.
have no idea. You know what? I could go on Amazon. I bought off of Amazon. I could go bring up the Amazon page, and
Like, what transfer speed does it guarantee? Does it guarantee 40 gigabit? Does it guarantee 10 gigabit?
I have no idea. Let me
I
go check.
I don't think, but I'll be surprised. I could be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like overall, my experience with the iPad has been ridiculously impressive, especially with the huge selection of applications and their like refinedness, especially with Notability, and Good Notes. Very good apps for productivity in class, and while I could record my class while I'm taking notes, and it's pretty good quality recording. I have all my notebooks there, so I don't have to worry in the morning having my books in my bag. I just have to put my iPad there, and you know, nothing gets wet, nothing gets ripped. I don't lose a page. I don't lose a handout. If the teacher gives me a handout, I scan it with the Notes app, and there you go. I could import it into the Good Notes app.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
edit it.
Beautiful.
The teacher gives me a handout. I don't have to worry about not writing in pencil.
Yes.
You know, like so they tell you, oh, don't write. I want you to write with a pen, not a pencil. And then you write with your pen, and then you have to use like 70 times the liquid paper because you did mistakes.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, the paper looks so ugly that you have to do a photocopy of that paper and rewrite everything. Whereas in the iPad, you don't have to worry about that. So I'm like pretty
Yeah.
satisfied with this element of it.
Live
I
updates
even use it at work, man. Like I use it at work. I make my boss sign contracts on it
on the iPad.
instead of print.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I get the contracts and the receipts and stuff like that on the iPad. Put it in a file. Make her sign it, and then send it by email to whoever wants it. And so instead of having to print a document,
Yeah, and have it signed and everything
Okay,
straight off the
having
iPad.
signed, then
and
scan it, and then having to convert it to a PDF or whatever format I want.
Yeah.
And then I export it. I could just open it on the iPad, sign it,
Boom.
zip it,
There you
or PDF it, and then send it.
But you can
That's
even
it.
use Adobe, their app, Adobe, and
Dude, Notability works way better. Notability, or even the Apple app,
yeah.
works good.
So live update, I searched it up. It has super speed up to 5 gigabytes data transmission. Organize your keyboard, mouse, or hard disk easily, and it says support of SD, SDHC, SDXC, and TF card read up to 480 megabytes per second.
Oh, okay, that's not
So
bad.
there's
So
5
basically it
gigabytes
has,
data transfer, and card read up to 480 megabytes per second.
is it a capital B or a lowercase b?
It's a capital B for
Gigabyte.
for gigabyte. It's a GB, capital G, lowercase b.
Okay, so it's gigabit.
Oh,
So basically you have your USB 3.1 speed. So before USB-C.
okay, yeah, and then
So
after,
it's good speed, you know. Like I don't expect you to have like this unlimited power speed
Well, I don't-
running
Uh,
5K displays off of it, you know.
yeah,
But you know you get pretty good speed.
yeah, it
And-
does the job. So, I'm happy
Like
with it.
overall, yeah. Even I have like the older generation, and battery life is still good. I get about, let's say, depending on my use case, because sometimes I do pretty intensive stuff, like I use like photo editing apps, like like those professional apps. So if I do that, I get like 7 hours, and I usually listen to music or have like 5 apps running in together, and I keep switching between them. And I use like, let's say, Google Drive or whatever, so that uses a lot of battery life. But if I'm just using, let's say, GoodNotes, easily 10 hours with like with middle brightness. All right, so Huawei. Let's talk about Huawei. Lots of stuff happened this week. President Trump wrote up executive order. Yeah, executive order.
Yeah,
where
executive
it
order.
says that like these U.S. companies are not allowed to have business relations with Huawei or companies that deal with Huawei. Under Obama, the government was not allowed, or government officials were not allowed to own Huawei products and deal with people that have those Huawei products. But now it has been extended to the companies. And dude, this is big. Like
Yes, this
is monumental.
very big. Yeah.
Let me tell you how big this is. So AMD and Intel make processors. Both of them are American companies. There is basically no other processor company for computers that are
Outside of AMD and Intel.
yeah, or at least significant ones. There might be other ones, but they're not important. And so
Yeah, well, just look at all big name computers. They all have AMD or Intel processors.
exactly,
All of them.
exactly.
All big name computers.
And all other alternatives, like let's say IBM, are still American.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're pretty much screwed right there. So all the computers from Huawei can no longer have the Intel and AMD chips. Then
Or
there's
not only that,
Microsoft.
There's the
Microsoft
exactly,
Office.
Microsoft.
They cannot hold Microsoft.
Windows.
They have to create they either have to run Linux or some kind of like their own operating system. So
That's crazy.
that's another one. Then then let's go to their phones. ARM, ARM, the company that owns all of the phone processor, intellectual property for iPhone, for Snapdragon, Qualcomm, are all affiliate or have affiliations with Americans. So ARM has patents in the States. They have an office in the States, a research office. Apple does their processors in the States. Qualcomm, the Qualcomm, which are the main supplier for Huawei, is basically an
No,
American
actually,
company.
Huawei gets away on the processor front. They have their Kirin chips that they make in house. So for the processors of their smartphones,
Uses ARM.
yeah, yeah. But for that, they're not tied to Qualcomm.
Yeah, no, Qualcomm is for
But
the
it
modems.
does use
For the
ARM.
modems.
Yeah, yeah. That's true.
The,
Yeah,
the
for
modem
their
chips.
LTE and their 3G modems,
Yep.
they use Qualcomm.
Samsung make the RAM and the storage. They can't use those either because Samsung has office or a branch in the States. So basically, they have an American entity with their company. Then there's Android. They can't use it. They
Yeah,
can't.
that's the biggest thing.
So
They lose Android on their phones.
basically, what we're saying is they're screwed.
Basically, they're not to mention, it's something that you wouldn't think about, but they're losing their glass manufacturer.
Yeah, Corning. Corning.
Corning is an American company, which they make the front and back glass of the Huawei's. I think there's even the cameras are made in the U.S. I don't know which company it was. I was reading up on The Verge.
Either Sony or someone
And,
else. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sony has a big market of the phone sensors, but they might use someone else. But no, they're really deep water, and like people are really mixed up about why this is happening. Most countries will cite public security as an excuse for banning a product. So let's say Canada wants to be wants to sell their own cheese from their own milk, from their own dairy, basically. Everything dairy, Canada wants to sell its own to itself. They want to increase or promote
local jobs.
yeah,
local farmers.
local production. And so they technically speaking, they could cite that we're doing this for national security. It's an excuse. And at some extent, they're right. Because if you destroy the local economy for cheese, then let's say something happens with the economy, then local people cannot eat because the government cannot subsidize exchange products from other countries. So you have to have local production, right? And if the competition is too strong, they could kill your own industry.
Yeah, that's you don't want that being
And
a country,
exactly.
being a government.
You don't want that, basically, like you just said, right?
Exactly.
And so,
Yeah.
but I think the main excuse for the U.S. government to do what they did is not the phones, it's the infrastructure we spoke about in the first episode, the server side, the antennas,
Yes.
and those are the really shady ones. There's this company called Vodafone. They're basically the AT&T and the Bell company of
In
the
Italy.
whole European Union. Vodafone or something like that. And
Yeah, it's Vodafone.
they have cited huge vulnerabilities in the Huawei systems. The only reason why they're so attractive is they're cheap.
The Huawei systems.
Yeah, they're cheap. And I guess and if I figured, like, for the amount of money they put into developing them, it doesn't seem reasonable for you to sell them at this price. So what I figure is happening here is that they're selling it at cost, but they're making up in money by spying on people. And by spying, I mean
Huawei
they gather information.
is go ahead.
Oh, they gather information on others, and they could use it to monetize. They could use it to sell to companies that, let's say, want some private information. Let's say they're tracking a person, and they could sell that information. They could track people like location wise and sell that information to people that want to track other people. Like, there's a lot of way to monetize that stuff. You know.
I think where they're getting their money from, like, I know you said we don't want to make this political, but I think they're getting it from the Chinese government because
that's clear.
Huawei is a company that's associated with, like, it's associated with the Chinese government.
Yeah, totally.
And obviously, we know that the Chinese government is communist. Like, we're not going against any Chinese, but I mean, that's the reality is their government, the Chinese government is communist. And
they're becoming more
I mean,
totalitarian. You know, the government is trying to take more
exactly.
control and
Exactly.
becoming more of a
other
dictatorship.
countries and everything.
Yeah.
So, even if you want to do war, if you want to go to war or whatever, like if you know what the other, what the opponents, let's say if they know what the Western world's people, their mentality is, because they know everything that they do on their phones. I mean that's very strategic and everything. So you don't want the Chinese government getting all of the information that you do as an American or Canadian that you do on your phone. So I think the fact that they did this ban is a good thing, because it keeps the government out of our phones.
Yeah,
at least the Chinese government. Maybe the American and Canadian government spy on us, but at least it's not Chinese.
Yeah,
it's not some Eastern people we don't know that's communist.
In some way, you know, it disappoints me because it might stifle innovation.
It does. It does hurt competition. You remove a competitor. That made some decent phones. I mean, Huawei was known for their cameras. They had amazing cameras, and also, I mean, just they made solid phones. They made decent phones. I don't think it's the best Android phone, but they did make good phones. And when you lose a competitor, you lose. There's one less person to try to beat, so it makes quality drop. In a way, I guess you could look at it that way. So it is sad that you lose a competitor. But
you know, it's getting crowded in the phone market. It'll be nice that there's less people. I don't mind, honestly. But
yeah,
you know, it's getting crowded out there. There's rules to abide by in the phone market, but if you don't abide by them,
you deserve to get kicked out. You deserve. You deserve to. If you're breaking the rules.
Rules and conventions, like I don't think there's written rules about like you should put 5 cameras on your phone lest you suffer the wrath of Donald Trump or whatever. No, there's no rules like this, but there's conventions like you must act in an ethical way. You should promote transparency with your customers. They know what they're getting into, you know, stuff like that. And if you're using people's information, you know, some phones are ad sponsored, so like you get ads on your phone. But the upside is that the phone is super cheap. So even though you paid less or on the phone, the company still makes back the money by putting ads on your phone.
I don't know if I would do that.
I wouldn't do it, but some people, you know, can't afford. You know, they need.
It's true. It's true. Cheap. Yeah.
So, as long as you behave in an ethical way, you should be fine. But then again, I think Huawei is breaking. Let's say an untold rule, unsaid rule, unwritten rule, and they should get right with it. You know, it's probably a pressure technique from the Trump administration to bring China to the bargaining table, since they're in this like ongoing trade war with them. But in some extent, they're kind of right. If you're selling a product that may or may not have huge flaws in it, you know, you don't deserve to be in the competition. You're not abiding by the rules.
Exactly, you don't.
You know, if
you break the rules,
if you take
you don't deserve to be there.
What's it called? What the supplements, the illegal supplements in sports?
Steroids.
Steroids or enhancers, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
You know, if you get caught doing that, you lose your medal. So in the same way, if you can't abide by the same rules as everyone else, and be ethical, too bad for you.
Yeah, and if exactly, you deserve the punishment. If you're breaking the rules, you deserve the punishment. It's the same way as that. If a runner wins a race because he was taking steroids, and it's not fair. So if these guys are breaking rules, that there's either spying on us or they're making money from other ways, that they're selling their products cheap and they're making money by selling our information, you're breaking the rules and you're not playing fairly, and you don't deserve to run the race. You don't deserve to play the smartphone game.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. You should not be allowed to sell phones.
Yeah.
At least in an American market where they care about privacy.
Yeah.
If you're in a Chinese market, there's not much you can do. but I'm sure they care about their privacy also. But there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
But at least in the US, they did something about it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about information, this is the end of the podcast. So we would like to encourage you to find us on our Instagram page. The Instagram page is at Again and Again Podcast. Our Facebook page is Again and Again Podcast, and our Twitter page is Again Podcast. We also would like to recommend you to send us messages and emails if you have any comments, feedback, or any question that you have, or any topic. We also have an email where you could send us all that information. It's at the2apodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support us, you could leave a 5-star rating or in whatever podcast platform you're listening to us. And also leave us a review in the Apple Podcast application. That helps us a lot. You could also share us with your friends and family, so that if someone else, or if you know someone that likes to listen to that kind of stuff, just send him the link. And if he enjoys it, good. We would be very grateful if you do that. And if you want to be a super supporter, you could also support us on Patreon, where you could help us for a small amount of money replenish our Tim Hortons coffee fund. And so by doing that, you get a few perks, and we get to deliver on those perks. So that's all for us today. Thank you for listening. We appreciate your attention, and feel free to get in contact with us if you have any requests or anything. We're there for that. And so, good night.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.